Hey, welcome back everybody here for another video from what you're watching. Now, 2021 was a very interesting year. And it was a very interesting year for several reasons. But main one is that Netflix seemingly set, well, one of the main ones, not the main one, one of the main ones, that Netflix seemingly set out to completely ruin the very idea of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'm going to start, they put out 3 He-Man cartoons, I should say animated series in 2021. One was a part 1 and part 2. That one I will deal with in another video. I'm going to take a look back at He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This was the 3D animated one. Now, with all my reviews, I decided to give it a fair chance. Knowing that it was aimed at kids, I adjusted my expectation and watched season 1. Even after watching the somewhat questionable trailer, I still went into the series optimistic. I mean, it couldn't be that bad, right? That's what I thought. Well, boy, oh boy, I was wrong. I was kind of right. It's not that bad. It's worse. It is utterly, horrendously worse. I mean, my God, what was happening to entertainment for them to pour that kind of nonsense and passing it off as acceptable? Let me get started on this review and how He-Man Masters of the Universe went. The first thing you have to understand about this show is that it's a poor man's Troll Hunters. There's no possible other way to start this review off but to call it what it is. It's like they took 90% of Troll Hunters, mixed in 10% of Reboot, and was left with this. Some of the visuals do look good. I'll grant that, like the night view of Eternos, the entrance portal to Castle Grayskull, and Battle Cat's armor, and 1 or 2 others, but that's really it. The show is basically a watered-down version of Troll Hunters on an alien planet, except Troll Hunters had a story and a purpose. With this, they just randomly threw together any nonsense that they could think of. If this had not been He-Man related and more thought was put into it, it could have been an okay show. Not good, but okay. Instead, you're left with a confused, teenage, rebooted mess that dooms itself from the start. So let's take a look at our heroes. Adam is the Prince of Eternia, but he doesn't know that because he was found by Cringer wandering alone in the forest 10 years ago with no memory. Basically, he looks like a blonde version of Jim Lake, only a little more wishy-washy. Cringer is no longer the scared green tiger we all have come to know, but is a member of the tiger tribe that adopted Adam. He's supposed to be this wise tiger, but he only sounds wise and is just as confused about everything as the rest of them. Also, he's been declawed, and that is apparently so very awful because he can't hunt or fight without his claws. I mean, it's not like he's a 600-pound tiger whose teeth can easily crush a man's skull, but no, the claws are what's most important. Let's see where this is going. Then we have Crass, Adam's childhood friend and a gender-bent version of Ram Man, but she calls herself Ram Mam. God in heaven. Next up we have Tila. Now brace yourself for this. Take a moment to brace yourself and prepare yourself for this. She's black. Now that wouldn't be such a bad thing, except that she looks like a 3D version of Andra, who's basically Tila's girlfriend from Masters of the Universe Revelation. I'll cover that in another video. Except she have white hair. She's a magic user slash thief, not a magic warrior. Now mind you, that which would have been so much cooler if she was a magic warrior. She casts magic by utilizing some kind of jutsu hand signs, and also has some weird floating headphone things by her ears. I'm not sure. Then we have Duncan, aka Man at Arms. Well, it's supposed to be, but in this version he's an unsure, rambling man-child. No, he's not a man, he's a child, or they're all teenagers. I mean, yeah, he has engineering skills, but I wouldn't trust him to fix a toaster for less anything else. Now we move on to our villains. First up we have Evelyn. Not Evelyn yet, but Evelyn. Right? She uses dark magic. How original. And looks like some kind of snake woman with long dangly limbs. Also she wears a purple and black outfit complete with a white face. I don't know if it's makeup or something, just some kind of white face thing she's doing. Black lips and no hair. Pretty much look like everything everybody's ever been afraid will jump out of a closet at them. When she does get new powers from Skeletor and becomes Evelyn, she gets some big bat wings on the side of her head, grows hair, and still has the long dangly limbs. I mean, her whole appearance is just ghastly. Absolutely ghastly. Also, we have her partner in crime, Cronus, later known as Trapjaw. I honestly don't know what purpose he served other than looking like a green-faced reject from a Halloween party. Apparently, he was the former man-at-arms to the king before attempting a coup with Evelyn and Prince Keldo. But when he's turned into Trapjaw, he's got one big metal arm and a mouth that looks like a blender. I mean, he's more ridiculous than intimidating, honestly. Then we have Razak. He's the last member of this motley crew to join. I mean, he's creepy, covered in fleas, and is the one who took Cringer's claws. Ooh, how exciting. After he gets power from Skeletor, he turns into Beastman, big, orange, and furry, but is just as useless as the rest of them. Now, you've got to wake up pretty early in the morning to screw up He-Man. Because you literally already have a story to build up, so you got to wake up really early to decide to screw it up. I would seem that the creators of this series apparently never went to sleep. Let me give you a quick rundown. So Evelyn and Kronos, they have Tila steal the sword of power from the castle, but a voice in her head tells her not to give it to them, so she runs away. Eventually, both Tila and the sword end up with Adam, and when they're attacked, the cuff on Adam, some kind of bracelet thing on Adam's wrist activates the sword. He doesn't even say the words of power triumphantly, but when he does say it, he transforms into the worst He-Man I've ever seen. And this is including New Adventures of He-Man. It's big and muscly on top, with some small muscular legs. Basically, it looks like a weird ice cream cone in a gaudy muscle shirt with a weird crest on his chest. Plus, he still has his regular kid voice, so he both looks and sounds ridiculous. Also, the so-called sword of power looks like a ugly circuit board that he uses more like a club than a sword. Not to mention, it runs out of power. The sword of power runs out of power. It can also be easily broken and pretty much completes the ridiculousness of his whole look. And forget him being the most powerful man in the universe, he struggles with everything and everyone. It's laughable, to be honest with you. Laughable. So let me touch on that weird uncle. Look at that weird uncle. You know, when you have those family get-togethers or family barbecues and there's that one weird uncle who shows up that everyone watches cut eye and can't stand? Well, that perfectly sums up Keldo. I mean, from the moment he shows up, you can tell he's an idiot. Ridiculous plans, stale jokes, and just plain stupid. He could have literally dropped dead right there, and that would have made him more of an interesting character. His whole master plan was to kidnap his 6-year-old nephew and threaten to off the child unless Eldris, the guardian of Grayskull, gave him power, only to be thwarted by that very same 6-year-old child and end up cursed by the blight of Havoc, complete with a skeleton hand. 10 years later, he tries it again, fails again, and then willingly turns himself into Skeletor thanks to the very same curse of Havoc that he somehow learns to master in 10 seconds. He looks like a weird version of He-Man, big and muscular on top with small muscular legs on the bottom and a green skull face and a hood. That's supposed to complete the look, but this looks even more stupid. He doesn't even sound evil or smart, just moronic, and no one is even afraid of him. People are just like think he's an idiot, and they're right. No, this time around, it's not I have the power, but we have the power, right? Adam shares the power of Grayskull with his team, and they get new flashy transformations complete with overblown power moves that barely do any damage. While I don't have a problem with them getting new power-ups, they should have gotten that power from other sources, instead of being able to call down the power of Grayskull whenever they want it. I mean, if that's all it takes, then what's the point of even having He-Man? Also, the villains get power-ups to match them, making this seem like some weird version of Power Rangers. Apart from Battle Cat's armor and Teela's white outfit that matches her hair, the rest of them look ridiculous. Ram-Mam, God, I hate that name, turns into a glowing marble. Yeah. Man-at-Arms looks like a weird version of a robot from Cubics. Oh, and before I forget, they have a robot version of Orko for some ungodly reason. Early in the series, it's made clear by Teela that there's some kind of class system in the city, comprising of upper-class citizens, street-level citizens, and below street-level citizens, all ruled by King Rando, who no one likes, and for good reason. The guy's a jerk. When his son goes missing, you have to wonder if he even bothered to look for him. Because it's not like he was on another planet or in another dimension or something. Adam was right outside the city in the jungle for 10 years and he never found him. Everyone else did in like 5 minutes, but not Rando. Upon finally reuniting with his son, the first thing he does is order him to hand over the Sword of Power and then try to arrest him when he doesn't. Also, nothing about Adam's mother is ever revealed or spoken about. We don't know if she's alive or somewhere else, nothing apart from seeing her in a picture nothing else is revealed. The guards of Eternos are moronic and simple-minded as Skeletor with just as many bad jokes. Most of the people in and outside the city live with problems, but King Rando doesn't care as he sits on his lofty throne on high. I mean, no wonder Skeletor took over his kingdom in the end. Dumbass. But my biggest question with this show is, who is this show even for? This show was intended for kids, but I'm guessing the age range they were looking at had to be 1-year-olds, because it's not that it's very insulting to children. Do they really believe that this crap is what children want to watch? Do they truly believe that kids' minds have been rotted by social media to such a point that they'll accept this as entertainment? There's no interesting story here, no build-up to anything, no growth, and there's more action in a thumb wrestling match than all 10 episodes of this show. They tried to inject some so-called drama into the show at certain points involving Tila and her powers, Adam and his father, and Crass wanting to stay and protect the tiger tribe, but like the rest of the show, it's boring and of no importance to anything, honestly, because that whole thing with Tila, she was the one who wanted the power and then didn't want to use it. It was just nonsense. The first season ends with a crappy final battle against the army of Eternos that Skeletor has brainwashed. All the masters use a flashy combo attack to break Skeletor's staff and free the soldiers, but it fails, leaving King Rando, Tila, and Orko to stay in Eternos in hiding, while Eldris teleports the others along with Castle Grayskull to some unknown location, leaving Skeletor to take the throne, setting up for a season 2 that's supposed to come out in, I think it's March or February, something, so they're coming up with season 2 for this. Now, apart from a few fairly decent visuals and a catchy opening song, this show offers nothing of any substance. If I had to sum up this show in 5 words, it would be ridiculous, dull, moronic, uninteresting, and stupid. It's like Netflix is going out of their way to permanently degrade He-Man, so no one notices that everything related to it that they produce is garbage. Honestly, it makes me seriously worried about the fate of any other popular cartoons that they try to reboot. Final rating on this one, 1 out of 5, total waste of time. As usual, if you like the video, be sure to give it hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you've seen it or not, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.